One of the most bizarre cases to ever come to California was the case of the Tate LaBianca murder trial. This case would deeply puzzle people as to how a human could be so brainwashed by a man to murder innocent people who they knew nothing about. It all started out as a loving family, which would turn to a murder cult. The question is, why? Why would these young people conform to Manson's strange ideas? Most of these members came from broken families, and 1969 was a time when LSD was legal. These people were easy targets for past felon Charles Manson. As stated before, the group started out as a hippie family but quickly turned sour. Eventually, Charles Manson came up with the idea that there was to be a race war and developed this idea off of a Beatles song from the White Album called Helter Skelter. His many followers were brainwashed and would do whatever they were told. On the night of August 9, 1969, Charles Manson had ordered 4 people to accompany him on a trip. Only one of the soon-to-be murderers, Tex Watson, would understand where they were going and what the night had in store. That night, 4 people would be repeatedly stabbed. Of the 4 people, it would be Abigail Folger, coffee heiress, and her lover Wojtek Frykowski, Stephen Parent, an 18-year-old boy in the wrong place at the wrong time, and Sharon Tate, a famous movie star who was 8 months pregnant. Charles was not satisfied with this murder. He believed it was too messy and decided to host another murder the next night. The next night was the murder of supermarket owner Leno LaBianca and his wife Rosemary. It was not till a couple months later that Charles Manson would be recognized for his crimes. As the trial began, Tex Watson was in custody of Texas due to some political matters, so California decided to start the case with the 4 people they had. On June 15, 1970, jury selection began. Charles requested to ask the potential jury members questions, but of course that was denied. After a month of voir dire, 7 men and 5 women were chosen. On July 24, 1970, opening statements began and Manson came into the courtroom with a freshly cut, bloody X saying it signified that he X'd himself out of our world. Chief Prosecutor Vincent Bugliosi stated that his principal witness would be Linda Kasabian. 3 days later, on July 27th, Linda Kasabian was called immediately, causing Irving Kanarick, Manson's attorney, to spring up and say, "Object, Your Honor, on the grounds this witness is not competent and is insane." The judge denied his objection and Kasabian was sworn in as a witness. Kasabian told the jury something very important, that all the Manson family members always did as Charles said. Though they tried to make Kasabian an uncredible source due to her past experiences with drugs, she was proved to be a credible witness. Another witness would also be of the Manson family. His name was Paul Watkins, and he was stating what might have been a motive for the murders. He told the court that Manson repeatedly discussed his helter-skelter theory. On November 16, 1970, after 22 weeks of testimony, the prosecution finally rested its case. 3 days later, the trial resumed. Courtroom spectators were surprised due to the defense not calling any witnesses and announcing the defense rests. This caused the 3 female defendants to begin causing a ruckus and to start shouting that they testify. Though they had the right to testify, nobody wanted to hear it because they were still under the strong influence of Manson. The next day, another surprising event happened. Charles wanted to testify too. His testimony was over an hour and it surprised observers greatly. After his testimony, he passed the 3 girls and told them that they had no need to testify. Irving Kanarick, Manson's defense, argued that the reason the 3 girls committed the murders were out of love for Tex Watson. Irving was saying that Tex was the true mastermind of the murder. This lasted 7 days before the judge ruled it false. The jury reached its verdict on January 25, 1971. The verdict was that all defendants were guilty of first-degree murder and were sentenced to the death penalty on March 29th. Leslie Van Houten, one of the 3 girls, recalls being relieved of having the death penalty, so she would get out of what she had done, quickly. Unfortunately, that would not happen. That year, the death penalty would be abolished due to cruelty and it being unconstitutional. So all the defendants would be forced to live life in prison. Charles Manson still lives today along with Leslie Van Houten, Patricia Krenwinkel, and Tex Watson. Susan Atkins died of terminal brain cancer. The Tate LaBianca trials are the most expensive and time-taking of American history.